Hello and welcome to the Clarity 16.1.2 Feature Supportability Training. My name's Catherine Ellis and I'm a Product Manager with Clarity. Clarity 16.1.2 Administration. In 16.1.2, we have implemented improvements for the Clarity Administrator. New separate access rights are now available to grant to users for separating the administration activities between Clarity and Classic PPM. Within the Attributes workspace, a new Boolean field is now available to identify which fields cannot be secured using the field level security. Within the Blueprints workspace, the administrator can star items for quickly finding the right blueprints when returning to the list. And within Users Workspace, the Word Wrap View option is now available. Why are these administration improvements important? For separating the administration navigation within Clarity, our customers have prioritized this idea as important because they want to split up the responsibilities for performing administrative duties within Clarity versus duties within Classic PPM. The existing navigation and access rights had allowed the users too much access. The identified usability improvements within the administration workspace provides greater ease of use for our administrator users. Clarity Administration. Existing administrators will retain their access into Classic PPM administration pages with no functional changes. The new administration access rights are now available for accessing the Clarity Administration workspace. After upgrading, administrators that had access into this new workspace will no longer have access automatically. The administrator will need to grant the new access rights to users. On the left, a user with any of these access rights were allowed to access the new workspace in the prior release, but now they're separated. On the right is a list of administration access rights that are now used solely for this workspace. We have the main menu Administration Navigate right and one access right for each tile. With the introduction of the notification tile in this release and the other pre-existing tiles, we now have 9. For most of the tiles, the one access right is enough to manage the data within, with the following exceptions. To manage blueprints, you'll be able to automatically view all blueprints, but you'll need a combination of other blueprint access rights to manage them. Within the Authentication and Keys workspace, adding the API access is separate because that can be enabled separately and provides additional access for end users to create their own API tokens. To configure or manage custom home pages, the page view access is required. This slide provides more details on the 10 access rights. You may recognize that some rights were already existing in the prior release. We've renamed some of these rights so that they all have consistent naming patterns to make it easier to locate them when the administrator is granting the access to users. Because these are administration rights, they are all classified as a full license type. Here you can visually map the new access rights to the appropriate menu link or to the administration tile, as you can clearly see the name of the right matches up to the name on the tile. Customers want the capability to respond to action items directly in email without logging into Clarity or installing a mobile application. This allows them to have a better user experience while working remotely. In the prior release of 16.1.0, we introduced a new administration page to configure an email service connection for this purpose. The page was tagged as a beta feature, and the link to the page was accessible by simply having the Classic Administration access right. With this new release of 16.1.2, the feature is no longer tagged as beta, and we now have a new access right and 2 new options. Providing a new separate access right falls in line with our concept of separating out the access for better control on which configuration pages are accessible by administrators. The new right is named Administration Mail Service. When the administrator has both the administration access and this new right, they'll have full access to configure the service. If you look at the two options, the first new option enables debug tracing. This is important for assisting the administrator when there are issues with the mail service configuration. The second new option is to enable Start TLS. This is a command that is issued between an email program and a server. It begins a process where the email program and the server turn an unencrypted connection into a connection that is secured and encrypted with either Secure Socket Layer, SSL, or Transport Layer Security, TLS. Despite having TLS in the name, Start TLS doesn't only mean TLS will be used. Either one can be used because both SSL and TLS are acceptable protocols for securing the communication. Within the Attributes workspace, configuring the Not Securable field as a column or even as a filter will help the administrator to pick the appropriate object field to update when setting securability on particular fields. Within the Blueprints workspace, the administrator can now mark items starred using the starred field and also filter for them and save a view so that they can quickly see those starred items. In this release, in all generic grids, the wrap text functionality has been improved for the wrap text to break between words in both the cell contents and headers. And now, in the Administration Users workspace, this toggle to wrap text is now available as a view option. This is useful to show all user group assignments or the full description text of the user profile. In this demonstration, you'll see how to grant the appropriate administration access rights. We'll cover 3 different administrator use cases. Our first administrator is granted access through the PMO System Administrator Group. This is an out-of-the-box system group that allows the administrator to manage the system by having all global rights to access all features and edit all records in the product. Our second administrator is granted access through custom system groups determined by the company's policy to have greater control to segregate the access rights. And our third administrator is a new employee, and we will assign each access right to this user for demonstration purposes to help you understand how each of the new access rights function. We'll demonstrate the comparison of the prior release to our new 16.1.2 release for our administrator users. On the right is the 16.1.1 release in purple, and on the left is the 16.1.2 release in blue. Our first administrator is a member of the PMO System Administrator Group. The purpose of this system group is that it provides access to all areas in the product. As a part of the upgrade, we automatically add in the new Administration Navigate access rights. Therefore, any user that is a member of this group will continue to have access into the Clarity Administration workspace and all the admin tiles. Let's log into the prior release as this administrator. As you can see, this administrator's homepage lands him into the administration workspace and all 8 tiles are accessible. There are only 8 tiles in this release. Now on the left side, we'll log in as the same user immediately after upgrade. As you can see, this user has no interruption in access to the Clarity Administration workspace. And now he has a total of 9 tiles. The reason for this is because of a brand new tile introduced in 16.1.2 for notifications. Going into Classic, we can take a quick look at the system group for the PMO System Administrator. search for these rights using the pattern admin star nav. All new access rights for the modern user experience have the text of navigate within the name of the access right for administration. Any classic administration right will not have the word navigate in the name. The other distinguishing characteristics is having the text new user experience in the name as well. You can see here there are 10 access rights, 1 access right for the menu, and 9 for all the tiles, including the new functionality for the notifications tile. For our second administrator, let's take a minute to examine their profile in the prior release and how it impacts their access. We'll navigate to the classic administration side and we'll pull up the properties for that administrator. This administrator belongs to 3 administration type groups. One is for the Clarity new user experience for all the tiles. One is for classic administration access, and then the other one is for all non-admin rights to access the remaining functionality within the product. We'll take a look at the one for the all tiles and how it worked in 16.1.1. As you can see, this group has 16 access rights configured. The first one is a classic administration access right, and this one provides you with access on the classic side to administration pages, but it also gives you the ability to go into the modern user experience and get the menu link for the administration page there. And it also provided you with direct access to the system settings page. The other classic access right that's in 16.1.1 is the administration authorization right. And this right allowed users to have the ability to modify the authentication and keys pages and also the users in the users tile workspace. We also have some pre-existing tile navigate rights that are listed in this group for the action items, audit, users, attribute management, and integration mapping workspaces. Within this group, we also have some other access rights that provide additional abilities within each of these workspaces. The API access right provides the user with the ability to see the Keys tab within the Authentication and Keys workspace. And then the blueprint rights allow the user to create copies, edit, and delete. And the page access right, the View All one, allows the user to manage custom pages in the Systems Setting workspace. And then additionally, this group has the ability for the user to navigate to the page workspace to be able to create, edit, and delete those custom pages. Now we'll log out of both systems and we'll take a look at our second administrator and compare him with the 16.1.1 release and the 16.1.2 release. First, we'll log into the 16.1.1 release and see how the administrator's profile works with the existing rights. His home page is set to the project tiles, and as we can see, he has access to the administration workspace. And with that group definition that we examined, you can see that he has access to all 8 tiles. Now let's log into the 16.1.2 release and see what happens immediately after upgrade. He still has the project tiles as his home page, and if he scrolls down, you can see that there is no link for the administration workspace. However, he will still have access in the classic PPM administration side, so we could log into that side and check his profile there. As you can see, he has access to resources and groups. Let's look at the group and how it is after the upgrade. So after the upgrade, no rights have been added or deleted from the group. He still has the 16 access rights that he had from 16.1.1. So let's take a look at the list in 16.1.1 for comparison. He still has the access right for Classic, action items. He has Administration Attribute Navigate. This is actually the pre-existing access right with a new name change. So if we compare this to the one listed on the right, it was named Attribute Management in 16.1.1 and it is now called Administration Attribute Navigate. He has the Audit tile. He has the Classic Authorization right. And he has Integrations Navigate. This one is a pre-existing right with a new name change. In the prior release, it was called Integration Mapping, but the name of the tile is actually called Integrations. So we renamed it in alignment with all our other Navigate rights and gave it a new name. And then he has access to users. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 existing tile navigate access rights. In 16.1.1, having the users navigate also required the authorization in order for him to manage users. Now that is no longer required. So I'm going to remove this access right. As we saw when he first logged in, even though he had the administration access right for the menu link for Classic, he no longer has the menu link for the modern user experience. So we can get rid of this because it's not used for the Clarity side. Now, let's see what happens. We haven't given him any of the new access rights yet, but let's see what happens now. He still does not have access to the administration menu link. Let's go into Classic and add just that one right. So here we will search for admin nav and we can see this menu link. We'll add these 4 other tiles subsequently and we'll see what those do after. So let's just add the main menu navigation link. And then we'll log out, log back in. And now you can see he has the administration link. And he has the access to the 5 pre-existing tiles without any Clarity Classic access rights. And the one main thing to point out is that the Users tile now includes the ability to edit and manage users and their group assignments without having that Classic administration authorization right. So if we added the columns in here for the group is already in there. So if we go over here to groups, then we can manage user groups by selecting more groups and so on. Just the single navigate right for administration workspace along with the main administration navigate right, a user can manage users and their group assignments in the Clarity administration workspace. Let's go back out and look at the other tiles. So the other tiles with just the main navigate right will allow you to view and edit attributes, action items, audit information, integration data, and the users. Now let's go back into that group and add in the remaining tiles and see what they do. So we'll search for admin nav and we can see the 4 remaining rights for authentication and keys, blueprints, notifications, which is new functionality in 16.1.2, and system settings. And now you can see that the user has all 10 navigate rights. If we just search for navigate, there are 10 rights for the administration navigate. So let's log in again. You can see he has 5 tiles. The user now has access to all 9 tiles and can edit and so forth. The group has the blueprint, edit, delete, and copy access rights. You can manage blueprints. And notifications is new, and that will be covered under a separate topic. Authentication and keys, now without that classic administration authorization right, but now with the new navigate right, and along with the API access right, the administrator can manage the API keys and so on. System settings, and the user with the additional rights to see custom home pages can see customized pages as well as stock pages. So for example, this one here, Value Stream Financials, is a custom page that's been defined in this system, and the user can see it and can also add in other custom pages that have been defined within this system. So let's log out and we'll look at our third administrator to go into more details on how these access rights work. For our third use case, let's take a look at a user that's been set up with very minimum rights for demonstration purposes. We'll log into the 16.1.1 release as our third administrator, Gabrielle. As you can see, he has access to My Workspace, To-Dos, and we see the administration menu link. This gives him the access to the System Settings tile, and in here he has the ability to edit and view everything within the System Settings tile. When we go to Classic, we can see that he has very minimum rights on the home side and one access page on the administration side. This is the mail service configuration page for configuring the email connections, and that was beta in 16.1.1, and it automatically showed up when a user had the simple administration access right into Classic. As you can see, in the prior release, just having that one access right provided a user with the ability to get to the Systems setting tile in the modern user side and to get to the mail service configuration page on the Classic side. Let's now go into 16.1.2 and log in as this same user immediately after upgrade without changing any of his access rights and see what happens. As you can see, he no longer has access to the administration tile as compared to 16.1.1. And if we go into the Classic side, he still has access to the administration menu link. However, when he hovers over this menu link, he sees nothing as compared to 16.1.1 when we saw that he had the mail service configuration page. When we hovered over here in 16.1.1, we see mail service, and in 16.1.2, we see nothing. So let's examine his profile and log in as our administrator and change his profile to incrementally give him access to these different areas so that you can see how you would set up your system with these new access rights. Let's log into 16.1.2 as our administrator. We'll go to the Classic side and take a look at Gabrielle's profile. As you can see, he belongs to a couple of access groups, He has a group for access to the mail service page only, which included the administration access right and the classic PPM Navigate. And then he belongs to the basic group, which gives him access to my workspace and the to-dos workspace, and has also been given rights for resource view. So let's take a look and focus on the mail service configuration page first. We'll go to that group. Now for this configuration, we need to keep the administration access right so that Gabrielle can access the mail service configuration page, and we'll add in that new access right so he can actually see it. Here you can see is the new access right. Now we'll log in again as Gabrielle, and he should be able to see this from the classic side. Now when he hovers over the administration link in Classic, he sees the new mail service page, which is no longer tagged as beta. And when he clicks into it, you can see that it also has the two new options that are introduced in this release. If we compare this page to the page in 16.1.1, you'll see the difference. So let's log in on 16.1.1 as Gabrielle. And when he hovers over here, you see it had beta. And when we look at the page, over here to the right, between active and mail reader protocol, the two options were not present. And now they are in 16.1.2 for enabling debug tracing and the start TLS. Now let's focus on the modern access rights. So we'll log back in as our administrator. We'll directly update Gabrielle's profile here to incrementally add access rights for him to access the modern user experience. First of all, we'll remove him from this group for the mail service, just temporarily so that we can isolate his profile to see that he only has access to anything on the modern side and no more access to the classic side. So now you can see all his access rights are navigating into the modern side of the user experience. Let's first just add the navigate right for administration. And now we'll log in as Gabrielle. And you can see that he has the administration link now. We did not give him any tiles yet, so he doesn't have anything to do yet in the administration workspace. And you notice we took away his classic access. Let's log back in as our administrator and incrementally add some tiles. Let's incrementally add more rights to Gabrielle. Let's add in the 5 pre-existing tiles first. For action items, attributes, audit, integrations, and users. These are the 5 pre-existing tiles that were present in 16.1.1, and so I'm going to add those. And just with those rights alone, Gabrielle should have the ability to administer information on those pages. So let's log in again as Gabrielle. And now you can see the 5 tiles. And he has the ability to go into attributes and manage attributes in this space. have the ability to go to Action Items and manage, create new action items and edit existing action items. He has the ability to go into the Audit, and there's a filter here, so it looks like there aren't any records. But if it was changed, he would see some records, or if there was data. And the ability to look at and manage integration mappings. And the ability to edit users' profile and their user groups. So let's log out as Gabrielle and go back and add in the additional new tiles. So here are the brand new tiles that can be used to navigate to the remaining workspaces within the administration workspace. Gabrielle now has all 10 navigation access rights. And now he sees all 9 tiles. He has access to the menu and all 9 tiles. If we go to Blueprints, and you can see that he has access to view all the blueprints. However, he doesn't have access to create copies, edit, or delete. If we see this, he can't make anything a default or copy. And if he clicks inside of a blueprint, he won't have the ability to edit the blueprint. So we'll need to add some additional access rights for him to do that. If we go into the authentication and keys, you can see he has access to 2 of the tabs, but not to the keys tab. That requires additional access rights, and the access right for that is the API access. Access to system settings. And earlier we showed you the administrator user had access to the home page, and it showed all the home pages, including the ones that were customized. And you can see here that he only sees a few of them. He does not see the Value Ops custom page that was configured as a home page because he doesn't have access to view any custom pages. And the same would be here in the pull down. He doesn't have access to any custom pages here as well. So he can only manage stock pages to create as home pages for any user in the system. He would need to have those additional access rights for page view all. So let's log out and log in as administrator and give him these additional access rights, and then he'll have full access the same as our administrator. So we'll give him the ability to create copies, edit and delete blueprints, and the ability to manage API or have API access. And the ability to manage custom pages. So with the page access right, if I simply type page to search for access rights, you can see that there are 8 access rights. The bottom 3 are for classic. You have page definition editor, page definition viewer, and page viewer all. These 3 are for classic. The way that you can distinguish between the ones for modern and the ones for classic is by searching for new user experience. So if I type in new user, you can see that it reduced the list just to the 5 rights that are available for modern. Now, as an administrator, to manage the custom pages for doing the home page setting, all Gabrielle needs is this page view access right. However, if he wants to have the ability to view and create and edit those custom pages, he needs the additional rights of navigating to the page workspace, creating, editing, and deleting those custom pages. So we'll just go ahead and give him those access rights as well. And now we'll log back in as Gabrielle. Now you can see he has access to the custom pages workspace, and he can create new pages, edit, and delete them. And when we go into administration, system settings, homepage, he now sees value stream financials, my work, and other pages that have been created as custom pages. And he can add custom pages as well and define which user groups have access to those custom pages as their home page. This concludes the demonstration on the 3 different administrators and how we can configure in different ways the new access rights for accessing the Clarity Administration Workspace and the new tiles. In this demonstration, we'll cover the 3 new usability enhancements in Release 16.1.2 in the Administration Workspace for the Attributes tile, Blueprints tile, and Users Workspace. Within the Attributes Workspace, we can see that when we try to secure certain fields, we get a message indicating that they can't be secured. So for example, the ID. If we try to secure it, it says it can't be secured. So what we've done is we've added a new field into the columns that we can pull in that gives an identification as to whether these items can be secured or not. When it is checked, it means that you can't secure it. When it's not checked, it means that you can secure it without any issue. Adding it to the column and filtering them out, so you want to filter out is equal to no, so that you can secure fields. And now you won't accidentally try to secure a field that cannot be secured. And then you could save your view. With any name you want. And you can see I did the filter from the column header, but it shows up here as well. So now you can go and secure fields that you don't want users to see. The second enhancement is in the Blueprints workspace. When you're working on blueprints, typically you might be creating a new blueprint and testing it out, and you're going back and forth between the blueprint configuration and the actual end user side of things. And so sometimes you just want a quick view of just the ones you're working on. And what we've done is we've added in a new field for starred. And so now we can, when an administrator is working on their blueprints, they can star them and create a saved view that has them bubble up to the top. So if we sort it in descending order, you should see the saved ones come up top, and then maybe sort by object type or blueprint name, second or third. And then you can create your own saved view. And keeping a saved view like this, where you're not just filtering for only saved views, allows you to come back into this workspace and star other ones and unstar ones while you're working, so that when you're going back and forth between the blueprint page and other pages, you'll see that those changes are saved and they bubble up to the top and you can find them quickly. Our third enhancement has to do with the user's workspace. And you can see that when you log into the user's workspace, one of the typical things is we pull in the column for the groups, the user groups that the people are assigned to. So you may want to create a shared view that has all the user groups, but as you can see, it gets cut off because there's probably many user groups. Now we have the ability to have the word wrap. And this makes it really nice because now you can see all user groups that are assigned to particular users. And it also, if the column is smaller than the header, the column header will word wrap as well. And those are the three new enhancements in this release in the administration workspace. Prioritize access rights over attribute level security. What's new? In 16.1.2, we've implemented improvements for the Clarity Administrator. This release now provides administrators with a system option in which the users can interact with Clarity to view and update secured fields based on granted access rights at the instance, OBS, or global level. Why are these administration improvements important? With the ability to prioritize access rights over attribute level security, our customers have prioritized this as an important feature because it will provide greater control over which data can be accessed and updated, and thus the business users will have a greater sense of data integrity and user adoption of the application. A new option to prioritize access rights over attribute level security can now be found on the classic PPM Administration System Options page. If you scroll down the page, this option is located within the New User Experience section. By default, this option is not enabled. Therefore, the existing attribute level security behavior that users are accustomed to from the prior release remains in effect. If the administrator enables this option, then the behavior will change for all users and the access rights granted to the users for the secured fields will be used. Let's see how this works. For the existing behavior, when the option is not enabled, we can look at this matrix and understand that when a field is secured, even if the user has been granted view rights to a record, as a member of the Edit Access group, the user is allowed to edit the secured field. Now in Release 16.1.2, when the option is enabled, this user will no longer have the ability to edit the field because the granted view access rights for the record are prioritized over the attribute level security. In the following demonstration, you'll see how to set the system option to prioritize access rights over attribute level security. Before I get into the actual demonstration, let's take a look at how our data is set up. I've created one access group for which Blair is a member, named Attribute Security Group. I've secured two fields on the vendor's custom master object, the service provided field and the description field. Blair has been granted global view access to all vendor records and has been granted instance edit access on the record for the vendor Americali. We'll log into the system as Blair and demonstrate how she experiences the fields through the existing attribute level security behavior when the option is not enabled. We'll compare the difference between the records where she has view or edit access on the record. For any record that she has access to, at least view or edit, she now will have the ability to edit the description field. and this is because she is a member of the security group for the access edit on the field. The ability to edit this field is overriding her access rights granted on the record, and you'll see that the service provider field is always view only for all records. Let's take a look at this first record. As you can see, she has view only access to this record. However, she can edit the description field. And you can see it gets updated. The second record she has edit access to, and she can edit other fields in that record, such as the name, location, primary contact, and so on. And so she can edit this, which is great because she has edit access to the record, and that is fine. So if we go through each one, we can see all the remaining ones are view only, and if we just randomly look, we can see the description field is always editable. Let's log out and have our administrator enable the new option, and we'll see how it interacts with Blair's configuration. The new option is located in Classic Administration System Options page. Scrolling down to the section for the new user experience, we'll see a new access option. Prioritize access rights over attribute level security. Now that we've changed this option, it'll impact all users in the system. So let's log out and log back in as Blair. Now we'll revisit this one where she has read-only access. And you can see that the field is now read-only, and she cannot edit the field. And if you go to this one, she has edit access to the entire record, so she is able to edit the description field. Because it's been secured and marked as access for editing, and now we're using the access rights that have been granted to Blair. And now she won't be able to edit those records for which she has view only. And this is the purpose of the new option, and it'll impact all users in the system. And take a note that in both configurations, the view option is always view only. So if you secure a field for access view, even if the user has edit permissions on the record, it will still remain locked down as a view-only field. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope you found this presentation informative.